Hi friends, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com, and I'm back with a video. For the month of December, I got to guest design for my favorite things for their December release, and I have a video here for you guys using the Sweet Safari stamp set. So I'm starting out by stamping all of the images I'm going to use here onto some Copic friendly paper using my MFT Extreme Black ink and doing that in my Misty tool. You'll see here, once I get the first set stamped out, I do stamp some extras of that cloud, and I'm too lazy to move that stamp around in the Misty, so I just popped it on acrylic block and stamped it in there. When I'm stamping lots of images, the Misty is great, or working on a scene and needing to line things up, but when I'm just stamping around to lay a die cut, it's not a necessity. So I'm going to jump right into the coloring, and as per usual for me, I am coloring from dark to light. So from my darkest color first, and blending out over top of all of those all the way to my lightest color. It just gives me a nice transition and a smooth gradient between the colors to give just that nice depth that I enjoy in my coloring anyway. So we're going to just go through, and you'll see that for all of the different areas I color in. Like I started off with the YG99, now I should be on the G28, and then I contemplate about the putting in the G07. I'm like, no, I jump right to the YG17, and then we'll do YG13, and then YG03. What I really like about Copic markers is you don't always have to follow what they have laid out for you. You don't always have to keep within those color families and within a set number of colors. As you get used to your markers and blend different markers together depending on what type of a look you're after. This is actually a very unusual green for me. I'm not usually into the more primary greens. I tend to like the yellowy, earthy, kind of dirty, messy greens more often than the ones like this. But for this card in particular, it worked out really, really well. It kind of goes with the rest of the color scheme that I put together. Now I'm going to jump into the brown. And instead of using two different shades of brown for the spots on the giraffe as well as the trunk of the little trees there, I use the same one. It keeps the colors a little more cohesive, and it's honestly just a lot faster. Sometimes you don't really notice that they're the same brown, but it saves me from picking out two different sets of colors. So I went with the E29, E59, E27, E55, and E53. I do try to remember to put all of the caps to the left of the image there while I'm coloring so you guys can see them, but sometimes I hold them in my hand and forget. It's become quite a habit, but I do notice once in a while I forget. Again, I always try to put them there. So now we're going to color up our giraffe, and I wanted him kind of that orangey yellowy type color, so I went with E99, YR24, 23, and Y26, I do believe. Again, starting with my darkest color and blending them all out to the lightest to get a nice smooth transition. Some people like to go back and forth with their colors just to get a little more variation. I'm too lazy, and I don't feel like it needs it. I like the way it looks the way it is. So definitely kind of practice and figure out what way you like to color. I know when I first started, I would map out all of my highlights or all of my shadows with my lightest color. That way I could go over top of them with the darker color and you wouldn't notice. And if it was somewhere that I decided the shadow didn't need to be, again, you wouldn't notice because I did it with the lightest color. Onto our clouds, just using some neutral grays here to give them a little bit of life and a little bit of shading on them instead of being flat white. And once we're done that, that's it for the Copic coloring for this one. It was super fun. I really, really like this stamp set. I think they're super cute and adorable. I want to do something with the little bears next, I think. So we're going to pull out the die cuts, and I'm going to I use washi tape to tape them all down onto the paper and run them through my AccuCut Grand Mark to get them all cut out so that I can play with them just like that. Then I also have the Sending You Hugs die, and I'm going to cut that one out, and I'm just going to pull out the word hugs out of it. Actually, I'm not going to use the whole thing. And then I have a slimline card here. Mine is a little bit bigger. My white panel is 3.5 by 8.5, and then my card base will be 3 3/4 by 8 3/4. So I'm going to kind of lay that all out. I picked out my stamp set, pulling out some Distress Oxides. I have the Scattered Straw, Dusty Concord, Worn Lipstick, and I also have another purple there. It was Wilted Violet. I don't end up using that one. I just go with the Dusty Concord in this mix. So I put the purple at the bottom, and then we'll put the Scattered Straw up at the top and blend that all together with the pink down the middle. Yellow and purple make brown. And I didn't want brown in the middle, so I went with pink. Because when the pink blends into the yellow, you get a little bit of orange, and when pink blends into the purple, you get a little bit of a pinky purple. And then I just kind of go back and forth between all of those colors just to give myself a nice smooth gradient of color and kind of make it all look a little more well blended. It takes a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, but I think the look in the end is worth it, and I really need to work with my distressings a lot more often than I have been lately, so this was fun. Now I'm going to take a brush with a bunch of water, and I'm going to put a whole bunch of splatters on top of this, and I let it sit just for a few seconds. I did blend this on Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I take one of my rags that I use to wipe off my watercolor brush and dab that up. Now I'm going to adhere that to our top folding card base, and then it's the fun part. We get to glue everything down. So I do have some precision glue. I'm kind of laying out where I want everything roughly. And then I'll pull out the glue and start gluing things down. I do intend to stamp the sentiment right underneath of that hugs word. So, we're going to stamp the sentiment first. Never mind. So once we get that one stamped on, now it's time to glue things down. So I have my Simon Says Stamp adhesive here, and I'm just going to add that onto the die cut, place it on top of our card panel, and push it down. I don't film the entire process. I'm putting them basically exactly where I showed you. I did pop up our little giraffe here on some foam tape to make him a little bit higher. I'm going to pop up the one cloud on the opposite side of the trees just to give some dimension to both sides of the image. And the other two little clouds we're just going to glue down flat. One up top and one on the other side kind of tucked in behind the giraffe. And last but not least, we'll glue down our hugs sentiment. I'll show you guys the H. I do the rest off camera because my big head likes to get in the way. And I've done very well in this video. I'll have you note, for those of you that have been around a while, there was once. Okay, I lied. Anyway, once I get that done, I have my Pigma Micron pen here, and I'm just going to trace over top of that sentiment so that it stands out really bright and bold underneath. And then I'm taking a white marker or paint pen here just to add a little bit of a highlight to one side of the sentiment. It fades in and it's very subtle, but I really liked it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. If you aren't, give it a thumbs up. It helps me a whole bunch. All the links will be in the description box below, and I will see you very soon in another one. Bye for now.